Hmm. Oh shit. Alright. Just pretend that didn't happen. Alright. Hey guys, what's up? And today I'll be doing a movie review of the 2010 classic movie by director Danny Boyle, who brought you Slumdog Millionaire. And this time, this movie is 127 hours. Now, as you can hear, I just woke up like an hour ago, so I sound a little bit weird. But anyway, I have time to do a review, so here it is. Yeah, 2010 is a great year for movies. Toy Story 3, Inception, The Fighter, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, and wow, we also have 127 hours, which is a masterpiece. A masterpiece directed by the director Danny Boyle, of course, who brought you Slumdog Millionaire, again, one of the best movies of the decade. And he's also the director who brought you the Scottish classic Trainspotting, which is one of the most youthful and rebellious and fun movies that are Scottish, basically. And now we have 127 hours, which follows a story, a true story of a man named Aaron Ralston. Aaron Ralston loves to climb canyons and go to the canyons and ride bikes and just hike, and that's what he does, basically. He loves doing that. And one time, he went to the canyon, and he slipped. He was alone, and he slipped, and he fell into a small gap between two huge rocks that are unmovable. And then this small boulder just slides down, and this boulder just clipped him between the rock and the boulder, and the small boulder, and it's his arm. So, in short, he got stuck in the middle of a canyon, alone, with no help, no signal, and his hand is stuck, so he got one hand. And that's why this movie is ultimately about the will to survive and the will to live. Although Aaron Ralston had a lot of doubts and hesitations, and had a lot of moments where he just collapses and gives up, but still, at the end, he made it out alive, and that is truly amazing. We can see the will of survival, the will of living to be so strong. And damn, the acting performance is amazing and super impressive. It's James Franco, and James Franco had been blowing up in the 2000s, and in the 2010, he is really, really, really shooting for the Oscars. In fact, I think he got nominated for this role. I'm not sure. I mean, nominated in the Oscars, of course. I'm not sure, but this is a great acting performance by James Franco. He really brought out a lot of emotions throughout this ride. Yeah, so James Franco is great, and Kate Mara is also in this movie, fun fact. Anyway, one of the reasons why this movie is so great is because it is so realistic. All the camera movements, the sound editing, and the mixing, and the editing itself, it's so realistic. It feels like I'm watching a documentary of a person just alone, stuck in the wilderness, and I'm with him, although he's alone, but I'm with him. And that is truly a nice trick for creating a movie as real as this. And in fact, it's a true story, so recreating this situation in a realistic way is just the thing to do. And what's even greater about this movie is that Danny Boyle and all the other, movie producers, they used the fact that a majority of this movie takes place in one location with one man in one storyline. They used this fact to make some of the most creative and artistic scenes that I've ever watched in 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 a biopic, in a friggin' biopic. Wow, this is not science fiction. This is not horror. This is not, you know, some crazy fantasy movie. It's a biopic, but somehow they can pull off such an interesting and intense and thought-provoking ride. And that is just amazing. And it's also super amazing that, you know, it's just one location, just one man, but it can be really, really interesting. There can be 1,000 possibilities that could happen on screen. Although you know that in real life, in that situation, there are not much possibilities. And that's why they used Constraint to expand their creativity. Instead of pushing their boundaries to infinity, they pushed their boundaries to a very, very limited space so that their creativity can expand. And I watched a video essay on YouTube. It's really good. It's about how 127 hours used Constraint to expand their creativity, and that's truly amazing. And because of all these weird scenes, we became so aware of how dire and dreadful the situation is in real life, you know. So this movie also brings a very thick and indirect sense of isolation and alienation that is depicted very, very beautifully. Yeah, 1.5 hours of a man stuck between rocks, basically. But there are a lot of scenes that just brings a lot of different emotions, such as the scene where Aaron Ralston tried to chop the rock and make it smaller so that he can take his hand back out, you know, and then he dropped the knife, and I was like, oh shit. And then there's the scene where he's just stuck over there, you know, he's just stuck over there. And he looked up in the sky and he saw this bird every morning, 9:30 a.m. and he knew it because he had been there for so long. And then there's the scene where it was nighttime, and then he heard some sound in the back, and then he used his camera to take a photo at his back with flashlight so that he can, you know, see what's behind him. You know, it's just paranoia. It's just the paranoia that's been built up because of the dread and isolation that's driven Aaron Ralston crazy. And he saw Scooby Doo behind him, but in fact, it's not. It's nothing. And then this Scooby Doo theme song started to play, and he started to imagine the Scooby Doo party himself. Like, it's truly sad, but in a very creative and artistic way. And then there's this scene where he just got so dreadful he kind of gave up, and then he started talking to himself about how every breath he had taken in his life, how every step that he had made, all leads him to this exact position between two rocks alone. And that speech is truly amazing. And how the screen just split up into 3 parts, I think that's super creative too. Danny Boyle, I think he used it in like pretty much all the movies that he had done. But yeah, how the frame just split up, it's a great way of making a super cool montage. And then there's the scene where Aaron Ralston is nearly dead, and he's just so beat. Like, the only thing he can do is to imagine a talk show. So he talks to his camera in different personas, and these laugh tracks started playing, and he started nodding to these laugh tracks. Like, wow, I mean, it's such a dreadful thing. It's such a sad thing, but Aaron Ralston still had a sense of humor and positivity in him that is saving his life.
And Ralston! Let's hear it for Aaron!
Hey. Hi. Oh, gosh, it's It's a real pleasure to be here. Thank you. Thank you. Hey, can I say hi to my mom and dad?
Mom and Dad? Mustn't forget Mom and Dad, right, Aaron?
Yeah, that's right. Hey, Mom. I'm really sorry
And then there's the super emotional scene where he sees his entire family on a sofa, like somewhere near the rock. So he's stuck between the rock, and then he sees his entire family on a sofa, and the entire family was just sitting there and smiling, and Aaron was just talking to himself the whole time. But it's so emotional. And then there's the scene where he dreamt that he somehow got out, and then he ran to like a house, and then he woke up and turns out it's just a dream, and it just adds on to the dread and the alienation of this movie. So overall, it's such a masterpiece. It's such impressive how they used so few storylines, actors, and locations to make such a creative ride of emotions and feelings and thoughts. And yeah, I'm saying 127 hours is mind blowing, and I'm giving it a 9 out of 10. Almost a 10, but it's a 9. It's great. I remember watching this movie for the first time. After this movie, I just sat there. Wow. Wow. So, what are your thoughts on 127 hours from 1 to 10? How much would you rate it? Like if you like it, and subscribe if you want more.